Here's a tour from one end of the ditch to the other. When the rains came down yesterday, this grate got completely covered with mud. You can see how high the water line is from how the weeds are flattened. Came all the way till it finally spilled over. You can see the debris that was carried here. That's actually from my yard, those pieces of wood. I just now realized that. They got carried under the fence. And so, yeah, all the mud. The guys threw the mud up on the side. The next rain that comes down, that'll wash back in. You can see on the sidewalk from this line of debris how high it came up onto the sidewalk. So, a lot of... So the guys scooped some of the mud away, threw it up there on the side. This little drain here, I managed to clear, just throwing the mud up here on the side. The water also, as it comes down the street, will spill down into the driveway. You can see where it just kind of took the path of least resistance, cut through here. Oh, it looks like my neighbor's mailbox is almost completely unearthed. Came down here, and so underneath this surface ditch is a pipe. When Caltrans put this all in, I think it was about 1.5 feet. It was not very large. Nothing compared to the open ditch we'd had before. And so here's what happens. As you saw in my other video, all the mud gets deposited here in my driveway. And I cleared that today to leave a place for one car and to walk in. And then that's where the wood was on this side of the fence. It got washed under the fence because there are a couple of places where, like right there, it's been clogged with debris. There's a hole under the fence there. That's probably where it washed through. There's another one down there you can't see. Anyway, I'm going to continue the tour. I wanted this to be quick, but there's so much to see. So here's the main culprit right here. As you can see, this dog leg in the ditch coming down, and you can see the elevation. It comes down when this grate gets clogged, which happens very easily from all the debris. Some of this debris I threw out yesterday, then the guys came and cleaned the rest of it. You can see they just left the mud. This quickly gets covered up once the water starts coming down with force, with leaves and sticks and of course the mud. And so right now it's open, but this totally inadequate design by Caltrans with this shallow upper ditch and then the 1.5 foot pipe beneath it will not stand up and do its job under heavy conditions, heavy rain. So just keep walking. And you know, right now it's managed to clear itself out pretty well. But just on the tour, you can see here just outside the playground of Monroe School how the grass has gotten flat. My neighbor, she has to deal with all the water coming off the playground. There's no ditch there. It gets down onto her patio and leaks into her house and soaks her bedroom carpet every time this happens. You can see from the flattened grass just how heavily the rain was pounding. And so just walking. The ditch is pretty clear. At this point, in this spot, you can see here, this has been like this for several years. It seems like they should just go in and put a real drainage pipe there, since that's where the water seems to want to go. I can see somebody tried to do some sandbags, totally inadequate. All this green stuff, I believe, is what Caltrans called the native grasses they hydroseeded this area with after they finished their project. Absolutely worthless for stopping erosion. I don't know what types of trees these are. I like trees, but this one, these little leaves, when it rains, they fall down in there and create a very nice thick texture for clogging your drains. And even worse, the pine trees. And I particularly like pine trees, but you can see all these needles that they drop. Some of them are still in there waiting for the next rain to wash them down. They are just like the quintessential drain clogger. They become a thatch. And so they get in combined with the mud and the leaves from the other trees, and it's just a terrible formula for clogging that drain. You can see how flattened out the quote-unquote native grasses are. There's more debris waiting to wash down in the next heavy rain. So there's like these, let's see, 5 or 6 trees right here. And here's what happens. The rain gets particularly hard and it cuts these gullies through the mud. There's no ground cover to stop them. There's another drain they put in. It's clogged. This is the lowest spot, I think, in the Monroe School playground. And so the water will come in there. Here's another drain on the street, semi-clogged. Looks like mostly pine needles and little branches. And so just walking a couple down branches. And here's another drain that goes directly to the pipe, I guess, or something. It's an Edison pipe, and maybe it serves another purpose, I don't know. But yeah, so in a way I'm glad the weeds are this long. You can tell where the water level was, how flattened they get in places. Okay, now up here where there is nothing, you can see how badly pitted all this mud is, because it's just bare mud, nothing on it at all. But there will be, because the weeds will come in now that we've had this nice rain. I don't know all the names of the variety of weeds, but some of them get big and bushy, and I've seen them cover this sidewalk more than half the distance, and others get tall, and I've seen some of them grow 8 to 10 feet tall before we can finally get somebody out to cut them. They, of course, do nothing to stop erosion. And so, yeah, without anything here, the mud has been cut into. And so a lot of that is what eventually ended up in my driveway, as it was washed into this shallow little culvert. And the force of gravity and the force of the rain just carried it all the way down until it finally found the lowest point, which is my yard and my driveway. And you can see really how badly cut in here it is. Not sure what's under this plate right here, but the wow, it's cut like, 10, 12 inches down into this area. It looks like somebody, like a science fiction movie. Okay, here's the end of the ditch here. This grade's somewhat covered. More mud. Some of these rocks, I don't know where they came from. I think they were decorative rocks for somebody's landscape here, ended up in my driveway. So such is the force of the rain when it really wants to come down. There's one more grade here, mostly covered. And so that's the tour.